Hello and thank you for joining us on the midweek edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the program, ASUU accuses federal government of forcing university lecturers to embark on strike over unmet demands. 30 travelers abducted in night attack along Kaduna-Zaria Highway. And later on the show, UAE caves in, gives airpeace 7 slots at Dubai Airport as UK removes Nigeria 10 others from red list. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Mojid Jamiu. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. The long-standing tussle between the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, and the federal government is about to be resurrected. ASUU is accusing government of trying to force university lecturers to embark on a fresh strike by refusing to implement the memorandum of action it signed with the union in December 2020. The lecturers call it a deliberate attempt at impoverishing them. Jude, what do they mean by this?
Yeah, the 2009 agreement reached between ASUU and the government of Goodluck Jonathan at that time was meant to be periodically reviewed. Yaradua Jonathan regime was meant to be periodically reviewed. But as we speak, university lecturers are earning the same salary since 2009.
Since 2009?
Yes.
Especially professors?
Yes. And what has even worsened matters is the IPPIS thing. Because the IPPIS came with all kinds of deductions. No lecturer can get up on a particular day and say, I'm sure this is what I'll earn this month.
Deducting the poor salary
illegal deductions and all that.
Inflation has overtaken.
University professors, those of them who have done 10 to 15 years as professors, no one, as things stand now, earns more than 400,000 a salary.
400,000 naira.
Yes. And you know, when they go to private universities, they get paid much higher than that. So the whole idea of negotiating that 2009 agreement is to ensure that, okay, after a while, if we think that the salary that we are earning is no longer consistent with present day realities in terms of inflation and all that, then we can review from time to time. There was allowance provided for that periodic review, but we refused to get into any form of review with these guys. Now, when they were going to suspend their strike in December 2020, because they suspended, they didn't call it off. There's a difference between calling off a strike and suspending a strike. When you suspend the strike, it means that you do not need to give government any notification before resuming it. So before ASUU decided to suspend that strike in December last year, it was agreed that they will renegotiate that 2009 agreement, and government then suggested on its own that Professor Musalin Jibrin, who used to head the NUC, will head that committee from the side of government. Musalin Jibrin then sat with union leaders and then came up with a review. After that, government simply refused to implement the agreement reached between the Musalin Jibrin committee and ASUU leaders. So Musalin said, see, we have done our job. Hold the Accountant General or the Federation, hold the Finance Minister and the Minister of Labour responsible. I have done my own bit. Now the question is, what is holding? If you set up a committee with a goal in mind, you set up, nobody put a gun to your neck to set up that committee. The committee then finished its work. You then decided to not take action. So what they are doing amounts to provocation, just simply provoking these guys. And I'm saying that, look, if there are two things that if government would do it at this time, I can bet you that strike will not happen. The UTAS, which is ASUU's response to IPPIS, you were the one who suggested to them that they should come up with their own app that could get the job done. They came up,
their purpose.
Yes, we came up with their own software that could do that job that the IPPIS does, with people not happy with IPPIS, because IPPIS is not flexible. Now, after doing all that, and you had a look at it, there was random sampling and all that, and everyone came to the conclusion that this UTAS is good. You then again refused to allow them to use it. You are insisting on continuing with IPPIS. I mean, you just, it's like just simply provoking people. And I tell you, if they would allow UTAS to happen and implement Musa Linjibri's recommendations, these people will not go on strike.
Mujid, when you want to look at you can't really plan with this public university again. It's safer for anybody to say, oh, let my son or daughter go to the the private university, and you can say 4 years. It's difficult these days to, so it shows the level of inconsistency.
Any student will be lucky to spend 6 years on a 4-year course in a Nigerian state-owned university. A student will be lucky.
ASUU affiliated university.
Yes, to spend 4 years in a, to spend 6 years for a 4-year program. Now, the UTAS is supposed to be the university's transparency and accountability solution, which is supposed to take over from the integrated payment platform, the IPPIS. Now, the university system first came up with CONUAS under the 2009 agreement, which is the consolidated university's academic staff salary system. Now, when IPPIS came, they discovered that, just like Jide said, it could not, because there are they need some research grants that comes in from other donors. I mean, federal government is saying that all these grants should go into IPPIS. I mean, how do you now get it out? The process of getting it out, I mean, a lot of things, yes, under the TSA. So now they came out with their own UTAS, and now after they came out with this UTAS about 6 months ago, you now again subjected it to NITDA, that NITDA should go and test it. Now NITDA is saying that after some samplings, it has met 50% of that desired effect. You know, but I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel, because just last week, the federal government released the sum of 55.5 billion.
That money is said to be in CBN.
No, it's now on its way to the universities now. But then it's divided. You have to go it's divided into two. There is the 30 out of the 25 is revitalization fund, which is meant to rehabilitate and do some structural stuff, infrastructural upliftment in the universities, while 22.5 billion, 25.5 billion is actually the end academic allowance, which is supposed to augment the lack of increment in their salaries since 2009. So, but the 25.5 billion, according to us now, it's a paltry sum, because if you are expecting 180 billion, for example, and you are getting 25, I mean, you can imagine the backlog since 2009 till date. So that's why ASUU is saying that deliberately federal government is trying to frustrate it to look bad in the eyes of Nigerians in a country where the Attorney General of the Federation is pushing to pay 480 billion to an individual. ASUU and the federal government has been negotiating with ASUU over how much. I mean, education is very key to the bedrock of whatever development we are going to make. And you are treating ASUU, I mean, you are pushing them down. These are professors, these are the guys who even taught most of you guys in school. So it's unfortunate that we can be treating our academics with kid globes. Now we keep comparing Nigerian universities to Ghanaian universities that, I mean, Ghanaian universities are offering better stuff. Apart from the fact that we don't want to compare the salaries earned by Ghanaian lecturers to that of Nigerian lecturers in the university system.
Okay, let me take my first caller. Paul is calling us from Calabar. That's
Hello.
Yes, Paul, please go ahead. Thank you for staying with us.
Gentlemen. Hello.
Paul, go ahead, please.
Yes. Good evening, gentlemen in the studio.
Good evening, you are live. Please go on.
Yes, the issue about ASUU and federal government logjam is an issue that has continued to linger for too long, and I think government has to be sincere. It might interest you to know that an average academic lives on loans. The situation has gotten that bad. IP starts on the next pay instead of the basic pay, which is even causing more pains on academics. So I think government has to be sincere, and I will call on the leadership of ASUU to stand by its decision. There should be no going back, no shifting grounds on this matter.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Julie, apparently, when we solve this problem, one thing is crystal clear. The way things are going now, federal government of Nigeria cannot single-handedly keep sponsoring these universities or keep funding them effectively.
Well, to an extent, I would disagree. The question to ask is, what is the quantum of funds that we have set aside for education? We have never met the UNESCO threshold. The closest we got to meeting it was during the Jonathan era. But we see countries around us, Ghana, devote a much bigger chunk of its budget to education. Let's even start by making education look like our priority, because we have never made it to look like our priority. Let's first increase even the funding. Let's see, from the Second Republic, we've always spent so much money on defense. Even when we were in peacetime, we continue to set aside more money to defense than other sectors in our budget every year from the Second Republic. I remember. So to say, okay, we cannot fund this university. Yes, we are turning out far too many universities. That's the problem. We must first stop this idea of simply every senator wants a university to come from his constituency. All of them, they think that's the way to give back to their constituency. And that is creating problems. States too are sheepishly coming up with universities. Some states cannot even pay the salaries of their university staff. So for the federal universities, can we even try to improve funding? Let us see where that gets us. Then, if we run the universities purely as centers of excellence, they can make money even from products of research and all that. That's how it is done in California, in other countries of the world. Universities are real centers of excellence, and the society benefits greatly from them. The service economy derives tremendously from the output of universities. So let's even improve. Let's see what we can do by improving even the level of funding. For now, go and check, look at our budget and see what we have set aside for education. You know that we are not serious. You see other countries. Was it not the leader of Australia that was asked his priority, these 3 priorities, and he said education, education, education. They are not fools. When they continue to come up with inventions that shape our lives, make our lives better, we will now be seeing them. These are great people. These are what do we call it? That's what other people don't like to hear. Sena climbs. What Sena climbs did not just materialize like that. It takes consistent, solid planning. Our universities have become something else. They have become something else. And if we are not careful, public universities will die a natural death in our country. And it appears that our leaders are not bothered, because, of course, some of them will go and open private universities. Their children don't even go to school here anymore. So they will send their children abroad. You see them, they travel abroad without shame. They will snap photographs with their children and during their matriculation and other days. These are people who pass through public universities. You know, how many of them? I know someone who runs his mouth anyhow because he's a big Nigerian leader. He runs his mouth. Meanwhile, he attended a public university here in our country. Today they say, no, you cannot. Public university does not have to be cheap. Meanwhile, their own parents put them in those public universities where they went to school almost free. Almost free.
I have a caller.
Yes.
Yes.
Ayo, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Julius, calling from Ibadan, Oyo State Capital.
All right. Go ahead.
Babajide and Mojit, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Now, what is happening to our education in our country? You see, there's something I want to believe that if we fail to educate ourselves, we're only trying to involve ourselves in trouble in tomorrow. Now, if our university education is at this stage now, what will happen to us in the next 5-10 years? Why? Because the gap we have left behind, we still need to fill it up. And Mr. President promised Nigerians a better deal with education. Honestly, from my own sincere mind, if government will allow each university to have autonomy on their own, so that they run their own affairs, so that education in this country will not die. Because Nigerians cannot even afford private university with a humongous amount of money that is involved. The private university that's supposed to, the public university that's supposed to be a succor is now becoming another thing else. We wish that the president and his handlers will rise up and salvage this situation. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you for your contribution. So, Mojid, when you want to look at it, compare to the reality we have on ground now. Now, let's say that the federal government, they want to avert the strike. What should be put in place to make sure that we don't start year 2022? They lost the whole of year 2020. 9 months in that year, apart from the COVID pandemic, they lost it to ASUU strike.
I think the federal government should look into the demands of ASUU and ensure that, because the money that ought to have gone to the university system, I mean, we have been on this money for almost 6 months, and they've been going back and forth. Only probably at the weekend, I mean, they were saying that the thing should have hit the accounts of universities. But as at yesterday, we can't confirm categorically whether the 55 billion has entered the university system.
How come we have that kind of ridiculous remuneration over time, stagnated one that has not been till now?
Then, yes, I mean, this is something that should be
less than
$500,000.
This
is a review that should be done every 5 years is the same problem we have with minimum wage in Nigeria, because, they are being paid by the federal government too. But it's supposed to be renewed, to be reviewed every 5 years. But then, in the light of present day reality, I think the tuition fee and accommodation fee should be reviewed by a joint committee of probably the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Labor, and ASUU, because I think paying 90 naira per bed space in 2021 Nigeria 90,000 is not practical, honestly.
Because some state universities actually
for a session,
for a session.
Some state universities they've been taking up the school fees.
No,
like Ondo State now.
Yes.
200 and something thousand.
You see, those who go to Ivy League colleges, or even let's look at private universities in Nigeria, they are placed in the same environment. And we say private university lecturers earn more than public university lecturers. How much the minimum school fees, minimum tuition fee in any of those private universities, I doubt if it is less than 500,000 naira.
That is private university.
Yes,
if you can get anything like that.
I'm just saying that there are some courses in some.
Some are not to that.
Okay.
Yeah, there are some. Yeah, there are some
depends
courses.
on the course.
Okay.
Yeah, there are some courses in some private universities that is as high as 10 million naira. Medicine,
especially in your state.
Yeah.
medicine and law. But you are also from Ekiti State.
I remember that route.
So, but then, no, seriously speaking,
not everybody can go to those.
Yes. But
everybody can go to those universities.
Jide, 90,000 naira.
No, we are talking about 2021 reality.
In University of Lagos.
No, okay, look at it this way. 90,000.
When some of the students can even go out and
they use iPhone 12 Pro Max.
That is it.
600,000.
Some can use it.
Yeah.
Some women can cut corners and bring an iPhone. iPhone 1000 that their parents can't afford.
That's true.
So, but there are people who will never have become something in life if they didn't pass through the public universities. There are people in today's Nigerian leaders that if not for Awolowo's free education, they would never have tasted education in their lives.
Because their parents were so
let's not forget that. You know, my own parents are civil servants. Back then, if they were asked to pay the kind of money that are now being paid in Redeemers University, Covenant and the rest, they would not be able to afford it. Because I know what my dad was earning.
Yes,
I was the one who used to collect his salary for him.
They would
never be able to pay.
At a point,
and they would never cut corners. My dad would prefer to die than receive bribe from anybody. So how do people get by? A lot of people today are able to sponsor their children to good schools in our country because they are stealing. Yes.
Facts.
Civil servants are sending children to universities in Malaysia, in Egypt, because they are stealing public funds. This is a fact. So that some people can afford expensive university education does not mean it should be lost on us that an overwhelming majority of our people cannot. And the people who are ruling today, who are taking big decisions that affect you and I, are products of public universities. Without the public university, they would have become nothing in Nigeria. So why are they now watching the public university system die incrementally?
Look at this atmosphere.
Yes.
I mean, what are we talking about?
I think the federal government and ASUU, and probably another visitation panel should look at
even the holy books.
The
holy books say clearly that there will be poor people around us.
No, definitely.
No, whatever we do, there will be poor people around us, and hard work is not a guarantee that you will have riches. So we must bear in mind that there are people who need these public universities badly. Fingers are not equal. Fingers are not equal. That's why we have to push for the public universities to get a better deal. 90,000 naira for a bed space. Okay, that's room. Maybe there are 4 students in it. 90,000 for one person. Abi? There are 4 students. 90 times 4. Are there not places in this country where you don't pay that much in a year for a room?
But if you
because you look, during our own time it was even 90 naira.
My own, yeah, I think I started with 45 naira.
90 naira.
1985.
For a whole session.
Because accommodation is different from that
I
tuition
know,
fee.
yeah, accommodation
My
is different.
tuition fee was 35 naira.
The example of accommodation that
my
I
own
used.
my own tuition was 10 naira. In 1985, University of Ilorin. But you see, the fact is, we can't compare. Then I was.
We are not saying they should not increase it. They can even increase it, but
Well,
the
to
funding
just
still
meet
has
the
to
reality.
improve.
That is it. There must be
funding was
an
improved.
increment in the funding. We can't continue to put defense as the highest. Whereas we have the problem, we have the biggest problem of defense in the country today.
Yeah.
So
Government lack of education.
Government should increase fund. If you the higher you push up the funding for education, then the lesser the pressure that we are facing from people who are out of school, who are causing all these problems.
We'll take this break. When we come back, we'll discuss more. It's still Journalist Hangout. Don't go away. This is Journalist Hangout, and we're reaching you from TVC News here in Lagos. I still have Babajide Kolade Otitoju in the house and Alhaji Moji Jamiu. The security situation in Kaduna State continues to fester. To the chagrin of many Nigerians, a member of the State House of Assembly, Riwanu Aminu Gadagu, has been killed by bandits while traveling along the Kaduna-Abuja highway. The bandits also kidnapped 30 travelers in a night attack on the road. The bandits were said to have blocked the highway around Kofa Ganyon, a few kilometers away from Zaria, and operated there for about 3 hours. This same road.
So how can bandits operate for 3 hours on a highway?
They said to have blocked the highway.
Except if this story is not true. If this story is true, we are in trouble. Abuja Kaduna Highway. We are not talking about Ife Omuoke Highway. No. We are not talking about robbers operating on the dusty road that leads to Igbemo in Ekiti State.
So it has been tarred now. It's no more.
Okay, you've tarred it.
It has been tarred. It's one of the roads commissioned.
Neither are we talking about the road leading to Ikole. I mean, we are talking about what is supposed to be one of the most critical highways.
These are Lagos-Ibadan Express roads.
Critical highways in our country. In fact, government, to show you how important that road is, government is rebuilding that road right from Abuja to Kano, and has decided to find the critical funding from it through the Sovereign Wealth Fund to tell you how important that road is. It's just as important as the second Niger Bridge. It's just as important as the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, because that is the gateway to the federal capital from the northwest, even from north central too. That's where bandits will operate for 3 hours.
3 hours.
Except if this is a lie. If indeed they operated for that long, honestly, I have tremendous fears for our nation. I have tremendous fears. I've seen the travelers in videos even claim that security men took to their heels on that same road. There's a video that we fell short of playing the other day. You will have heard from those passengers saying that the people operated for well over an hour, and that security men
3 hours without challenge.
That's the issue.
Nobody could call anybody and no rescue
to operate
came.
for that long is it's like heresy. It's not something that we should even
do you know what
allow
you
to
even
happen.
take, as in, when the bandits will have infantry to, capture, kidnap 30 travelers?
I'm surprised that Jide didn't believe that they could operate for 3 hours. 2 weeks ago, we all saw, I think it was Kaduna Abuja, yeah, same Kaduna Abuja highway.
Yes.
And they said it's been happening almost on a daily basis, consistently for 3 days. They were on that route. I mean,
we always
video,
hot and cold.
The video went viral.
The IG will tell some of his men to go there. They will draft them for some weeks.
There is something they call safer highways. They are meant. Motorized. So whatever happened to
Operation Safer Highways,
Operation Safer Highways, then whatever happened to the use of drones or rapid response, where you can quickly deploy some choppers to areas like this? Because I know that there will be people there who have connections somehow, but unfortunately logistic issues in Nigeria might not have allowed this to happen. And so it's unfortunate when we hear things like this, that bandits would occupy a section of that busy highway for 3 hours. I want to believe it is true, because before they can move 30 people away, you can imagine the logistic involved, even if they are going to the bush. So because
how long are we going to tolerate this level of mediocrity? In the sense of, sometimes 200 students, they will be taken away for 6 months. Nobody is talking. Some even have the authority to come out to say that it's a state's affair. Nothing is wrong. It's not the federal government interest.
Some people need spanking when they say certain things. I mean, just button up your mouth. Don't say things that will further aggravate things in our country. Those children, my mind goes to them all the time. Those students of this in Brini Yauri.
And everybody's quiet, as if all is
State,
well.
Federal Government College students. They are still there. They are still there. After more than 5 months, they are still there. Some of us are so selfish that because it does not concern us, let's not talk about it.
Oh no.
Oh, it could be your turn. It could be your turn tomorrow. The
Some are even
lawmaker,
angry that we are discussing it.
let them be angry. That's their problem. As long as we are here, as long as we are here, as long as the program subsists, the problems of our nation, we will talk about them because we want change. We are not going to be bothered about what people are saying. Ariwo Janeo. We are not going to be bothered. If change happens in our country and people are happy, do you think people will simply say, oh, it's Jide that made it to happen?
6 months in captivity.
I don't understand. And they are parents.
Young.
Those lives are being ruined permanently.
you can see how many months it took. Even the better parents took. They kept contributing before
they sold their houses.
They sold houses.
One moved after he sold his house. He now moved to a rented apartment.
Yeah.
Yes, he moved into
for the better.
he moved into a rented apartment.
So it was as bad as
that was money that he used his savings. His lifetime savings was what he used to build the house. But to get his son out of captivity, he sold it and left a little of the money. Now use it to go and rent. People are going through a lot in our country. People are going through a lot in our country. Now, for every time that you read that this thing happened, that one happened, lives are being ruined.
Yeah.
Because this boy set ablaze people's houses. Lives are being ruined. That's why the earlier we defeat them, the better.
And the damage it will do to the psyche.
Yes.
Those kids.
How do you then convince somebody who stayed more than 6 months
with animals,
with these people to feel like going back to school. You know, when a lot of people, rape victims, for example, it lives with them till they die.
Yeah.
Every day of their lives, the trauma is relieved. If you move close to a rape victim, you see,
Yeah.
even if it's an interview that you are doing,
Yeah.
because you always think that thing could happen again. Some of them, to even get them to marry is a problem. So it's going to be like that for these individuals as well. Look at those children that were kidnapped in Tegina. Children as young as 4 years. They took them into the bush. Some of them died in the process. And that's why we are saying there has to be a solution to this problem. We can't continue like this. There has to be a solution. We have to defeat the enemies of the Nigerian state. You saw what happened in Kogi, the attack on those banks in Egbe and Odoere. Just similar to what they did last year, or was it late 2019?
Not far. Yeah.
In Isonlu. They attacked 2 banks. So, insecurity is walking on 2 legs in our country, and we've got to do something about it.
And when you look at the response we've been getting and the effort we've been making, do you think we've done enough to get to the foundation of this menace?
As long as we continue to have failed homes, these are the results of it, because these are the kids who grow up to become bandits, kidnappers. We call them open range. They are on the loose. They don't care about anything. They don't even care about their parents, because no parents raised them in the first instance. So that's why it is difficult to actually rein them in, and that's why they don't care. Nobody, they're out of control. Like recently, some characters were arrested in Ekiti who are involved in kidnapping. We thought they were actually Fulani or outside, but they are actually sons of the soil. From well-known families.
Yes.
Nobody
holy pass.
It has been
no
franchise.
Everyone has seen that it is lucrative. So you can't.
I know that video. A 52-year-old man, old man.
You can't say that. You see, when kidnapping happens in a particular area, you can tell who did it. You understand? But we are saying that it's already spreading across our country, and it is not limited to one tribe or this thing.
No.
Everyone appears to be getting involved in it.
Yes.
No
Because
matter.
it's becoming lucrative.
Yes.
Because they are not being caught.
Yes.
And those that are being caught are not being.
So,
we
said the lawmaker was killed on Zaria Road.
Yes.
Not Abuja.
Zaria.
That's a member of the House of Assembly.
But people were kidnapped on Abuja Highway.
Abuja Kaduna Highway.
Yes.
But the lucky member
this
was
one,
killed. Zaria to
this one was killed on Zaria.
Zaria Kaduna Highway.
They said close to Zaria also.
Yeah.
So it's still the same axis from Abuja
It's
to
the same long stretch on the way.
It's the
to
same expressway
Kaduna.
now that IBB constructed.
All right. That's the lawmaker, fortunately.
We just hope that change can happen. That's all we want. That's all we want to see. You saw the governor of Sokoto State when he met the president, and he advised the president to declare a state of emergency in those areas where these things are happening. Whatever measures that we can come up with, let us come up with them. But we need is individuals who will implement whatever directive. People need to also search their conscience. Are they doing the work the way it should be done? Remember the guy who called yesterday to say sometimes they will send for our security agencies. They will not show up until those guys are finished. And when they are finished the operation, they will now show up.
They will now be like a conspiracy.
So what is the...
All right. And finally, the face-off between Nigeria and the United Arab Emirates, UAE, over flight slots seems to be coming to an end. The UAE authorities have given Air Peace 7 flight slots to Dubai. Meanwhile, the United Kingdom has also removed Nigeria and 11 other African countries from its travel red list as a result of Omicron variant of COVID-19. If, I don't know what happened, let's talk about this UAE.
Yeah, there's something you call reciprocity in diplomatic terms. You dagger me, I dagger you back. Now, Emirates Airlines was flying 21 frequencies into Nigeria, 14 in Lagos and 7 in Abuja, and that's 2 flights. That's two flights a day to Lagos and 1 flight a day to Abuja. So you have one that arrives Nigeria 12 noon. I mean, arrives Lagos 12 noon. That's Emirates, and one arrives same Lagos 4 o'clock. So 2 flights every day to Lagos, making 14 a week. Then every day 1 to Abuja. That's 21. Now you give Air Peace 3 slots. And as if that's not bad enough, you didn't allow Air Peace to land in Dubai. They have to go and land in Sharjah. Sharjah is like from Lagos to Ibadan. So it's like if somebody flying into Nigeria, you go and land in Ibadan. And you now maybe commute to Lagos, where we are, because Lagos. So now the Nigerian government said, I must say kudos to Hadi Sirika on this. He said, come, you must increase the frequency of Air Peace to at least 7 and allow them to land in Dubai. So they have acceded to the 2. They have written Air Peace now that, yes, Air Peace, you can land in Dubai now and not in Sharjah. And even that of Emirates has been reduced from 21 to 14. So 1 flight into Lagos and 1 flight into Abuja. I mean, at least for the time being. I mean, which is, I would say they still have an edge, but then Air Peace too must live up to that billing. There must be no disappointments. There must be no cancellation of flights. They must make sure that they live. There must be no inconsistencies, because these are some of the things the Emirates authorities, the Dubai authorities cited, that when you give them this number of frequencies, they don't meet up to it at times and stuff like that. But as we have it today, and it's a very good development from the Nigerian authorities, and which has also translated to our being allowed into London too.
Okay, what happened to the United Kingdom? Why the change of mind? Because I saw pictures of the so-called quarantine people that were quarantined in the UK after they have paid over £2,000 and what they were giving them, and the hotel there was a fire alarm, so they had to come out, and I saw the kind of treatments they gave them. So what made the United Kingdom actually back down?
No, I think the Nigerian authorities, although Nigeria was not the only country affected, but the Nigerian authorities said they were going to hold on. They didn't really implement the reciprocity against the UK.
Okay.
They said they will wait, and during that period they were interfacing with them. You got to give credit to the Secretary of the Government of the Federation, because when this thing happened and the Dubai authorities then said, oh, what we are going to do is...
Let me just hold your thought there. We'll take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. Please stay with us. Don't go away. Welcome back. Jide, before we went on break, you were talking about Nigeria not being able to enforce the reciprocity.
We didn't enforce it. We announced that we would do it, but we said we will wait. So while we waited, we allowed for diplomatic channels to be activated to see whether there will be need to do this reciprocity, or those guys will change their minds before, so that there won't be any need for us to retaliate. And that was what happened. And that was why I'm saying that we've got to give credit to the Secretary of the Government of the Federation, because yes, Adisrika took his own decision, but we were all stunned at the extent to which the Dubai authorities went by saying, because you may not fly Emirates but get into their country.
Yeah.
They now said, okay,
anybody carrying
any Nigerian, and
was
it was
at that time.
embarrassing.
But they denied that statement.
It was embarrassing that the even Nigerians, because of the uncertainty about it, Nigerians were stopped from boarding this Ethiopia Airlines. So it was embarrassing. Now the two countries are friends. We've done a lot of good things together. So it's not in all cases that you must resort to war. For 9 months, Emirates could not fly into Nigeria because of a long-standing dispute with Nigerian authorities over punitive, what our government saw as punitive extra tests for our people. Now, after the 9 months, and everyone felt that this whole thing had ended, then this one happened again. So the diplomatic channels that were opened allowed for continuous engagement, and the continuous engagement has yielded dividends. Look, Nigerians take a lot of money into Dubai. They are the ones who will lose the most, because how many Emirati people come into Nigeria to do business? You know, but our people go there for medical tourism and the rest. So at the end of the day,
destination.
Yes, at the end of the day,
tourism,
reason prevailed, and we have seen now that sometimes you don't need to take extreme actions to achieve results. And I'm happy that we merely just announced to the Britons that, look, this is what we would do. We never had to do it before they changed their minds. So it's a win-win situation for us. We must, as a country, behave strongly against some of these people. Look at the way South Africa has treated us on a number of occasions. It has to stop. We have to show that, look, we are indeed the giant of Africa, and when we need to act strong, we need to act strong. That way we will be able to extract greater commitment from bilateral partners, and that's what we have achieved in this case.
On this, a lot of Nigerians stood by the government because with the decision of the government and applauded it. Yes, you guys, you got it right here. These people can be riding roughshod over us.
You can't ignore us. We are not, at least on this one, we are not just big for nothing. The Nigerian route is about the most lucrative for both Virgin and British Airways. There was a video that went viral yesterday of a Virgin Atlantic plane with just 2 passengers in the whole.
Yeah, I saw that video. I didn't understand.
787. Yeah, I mean that.
What happened?
I mean, it means that the load
empty.
Yeah, the empty seats, and the load has to be supported by sand. They have to balance that aircraft with sandbags
to avoid it crashing.
From crashing. And just last week, the British aviation authorities, I mean, sent a signal to the PM that they might be asking for additional support if the fourth wave, if they should go hard on the fourth wave of COVID. So all these ones added to the fact that if you close the Nigerian route, I mean, you know how many frequencies.
Okay, let me attend to Tunde is calling us from Akoka. That's Akoka. Hello, Tunde. Oh, we lost Tunde.
So we have a number of flights apart from BA and Virgin. We have KLM, Air France, and even Lufthansa. going to UK every day en route other hubs to Heathrow and Gatwick. So the Nigerian airspace is one that the British government cannot afford to play with.
I pray that we continue to get our diplomacy right.
What are they even doing? We get vaccinated. At the end of the day, people still fall for this thing.
That is it.
People get so-called boost. Booster, whatever.
Booster gap.
So at the end of the day, the vaccination offers little or no protection to people. Look at what's happening in the UK now. Those football clubs, players who have been vaccinated, they are still falling
sick.
The thing. So
but they should understand that this
thing, to punish people.
Yes, they should understand that people are getting ill because of the cold weather. The cold, with the impact of COVID, increases with the cold weather, with the onset of the cold weather, winter. So they should understand that. So it's not as if it is Omicron or Delta that is coming from Nigeria. It's not. It's even alien to us. This thing emanated from China. So they shouldn't blame us from.
And they will not treat China like that.
They will treat China like that.
If this thing emanated from
China,
Africa,
that is the auto.
So they should going forward. They should treat us with some respect.
Principality of
COVID.
You are not treating them like that. You are treating us shabbily.
They have their own vaccination. You can take care of the situation. Muji Jamil, thank you so much. And the best for himself, Papa Jide Kolade. Thank you for your contribution. Always. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11. And don't forget to join us on Journalist Hangout on Sunday, 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. See you tomorrow, and God bless Nigeria.